right, here we go. This is episode number 39 of TGE, the podcast. Welcome. How are you? How was your week? I'm here with my friend Tyler, and today we're going to be talking about Veep, the HBO comedy. Tyler, how are you?
Good. We should point out that Veep had its series finale last night, so we're recording this on Monday morning.
Really? Yeah,
before we air.
I haven't caught up.
I'm being overtaken by an animal.
I'm still like on episode 4, so didn't even know. Very cool.
Oh, of the last season.
Yeah, of the last season.
Of the last season.
Yeah.
So, cool. And also, we want to thank everyone for listening to the show. We appreciate you spreading the word about the show. We appreciate the community constantly building. And I believe we're starting to see that reflected in the online course, Sven.
Sorry, what? I wasn't listening. Online course? Did you talk about the online course? Yeah, today is the last day, so I'm completely excited about how it went and can't wait for it to be over, so I can have a normal life again. It was quite exciting. Lot of emails in the last few weeks.
You mean you can't wait for the setting it up to start to be over?
For the enrollment to be over, so that I can focus on the students.
Cool. Well, awesome. I look forward to seeing how it goes. Maybe I'll sign up. Just kidding. Anyways, About Veep is obviously on HBO, so we also wanted to talk about the Game of Thrones Cup controversy, which is apparently something Sven is unaware of.
I am. You mentioned something about a Starbucks cup?
Well, so this came up a week ago, and there's a reason that we're talking about this on this podcast, not just to merely fail at being connected to popular culture as we tend to do, but I think it's very interesting in terms of editing. Sven had no knowledge of this because it was kind of a big Game of Thrones controversy. Around this time last Monday, it was revealed that in the episode
I saw a picture
following the one we did the podcast of, The Long Night, as the episode's called, which is what Sven called our episode instead of the Battle of Winterfell as it's popularly known. There's a cup in front of the character Daenerys, the dragon, the mother of dragons. Just for apparently I found out it was just even a couple frames. For just a moment, there was this Starbucks cup in front of her, and of course you have millions of people watching the show. Someone's going to notice it. And it became a huge meme. It looked like a Starbucks cup. It was pretty clear that it wasn't. It was like a crafty cup. So Starbucks got a bunch of free publicity out of it. And then, Sven, HBO went and scrubbed it from every episode.
Of course.
So they removed it from the digital, they removed it from recurring. So if someone has TiVo or something like that, it's on there, but otherwise it's now gone. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on the concept of removing errors like that. And why would we not notice this in the first place?
Well, for me as an editor, it's shocking how many things I don't see when I'm cutting. And then afterwards, when I see the movie and somebody starts pointing it out to me, it's like duh, it's there. Our brain just tuned that out because you're focused on something else. And it's kind of like what the audience does as well. They're focused on something else. It's motion, it's emotion, it's eyes, that kind of stuff. But you will have a certain percentage of the audience always notice this stuff, frame by frame, or they're just wired a little bit different in the sense where it immediately bumps them. It's a skill that unfortunately I don't possess. So I tend to really not notice this, even if I watch it for like 50 times, or then after 50 times, then suddenly I catch on to it. But it is surprising that in that episode that probably hundreds of people must have seen before it went out, that nobody caught it. So that tells you something about how important that is.
Well, it also tells you something about the focal point and where the attention is on a show. You know, I don't know if it is as important, and I'm less and less a fan of things kind of being scrubbed out of stuff.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Because I think the errors are a lot of what's fun and what kind of keeps movies human and interesting. And it's great when you look at the movies of the 70s. You know, Love Story isn't my favorite movie, but there's a whole, like, 10 seconds of that movie that's just completely out of focus. Because the tracking shot just didn't, it's just out of focus, like at the hockey stadium, and stuff like that. I think those flaws like keep movies human, and And obviously, I understand HBO had to do something about it, but there could be a whole conspiracy whether it was put in there on purpose or not to drum up more interest, which obviously it did. It's being addressed on all the talk shows, like all the, just way more ability to bring attention to the show. So who knows? But I do think there's something fun about leaving that stuff in there that isn't going to, I don't know, ruin the movie. It's kind of like the part of it taking on a life of its own.
Yeah.
My favorite example is...
I was going to say, I would love to be able to fix some things in previous movies that I've cut, if I had or YouTube videos for that matter. If I find a typo after the fact, it's so annoying. It will always annoy me when I watch it back. So if I had that ability, I would love to just make these kind of things go away.
Sure, even Spielberg's reflection in Jaws, I think it's fun. I think I'm a proponent of the accidental flaw that makes it through, but I also, because movies are artificial, and I think more and more people are forgetting that, which is weird. It's like no, we want the truth, even with biopics and stuff. It's like, okay, well, you're not seeing the truth. Like none of that, and you think about it on like a grander scale, like, oh, did they really go to McDonald's that day? And it's like, never mind that. Like, what about the conversation? Like, that nothing of what you're watching happened that way. So there is an artifice to filmmaking that is about enhancing the drama, the emotional experience of it that I think people can tend to forget. I know that's a broad conclusion to bring the quote Starbucks cup unquote to for this show, but I think it's interesting. And more importantly for us, the idea of how, because people are just blown away how someone could miss that.
Yeah.
But I think that's, like you were saying, that's what the filmmaking process is. It's very unlikely that someone, and who knows, you're saying maybe some people pick things up differently, absorb the image differently. It could have been someone walking into a room at a certain point. Could have been, a boyfriend watching it with his girlfriend, not really into the show.
Yes.
Whatever, someone looking up from Twitter, seeing it, But if you're experiencing it as you are in the post and the creation of it, that focal point is so important, and it's amazing the stuff that gets overlooked and the stuff that I love to be able to hide by just knowing, look, the audience is looking here when we cut. They're never going to notice this huge continuity gap, and that means that my editing is working.
Yep, as we'll see in Veep today, for sure.
Yeah, and also, James Cameron's Aliens, where there's that huge special effects shot when Ripley goes flying out of the space station and the robot who's been cut in half grabs her to save her, leans forward to do it. You see the effect. You see him in like his jeans and like his flannel, and he watched it hundreds of times and never noticed that, and then finally did years and years and years later. The focal point's just on whether he catches her or not, and then left it in, and that's James Cameron.
Yep,
you can go see that flaw in the filmmaking because he's like, look, we screwed up, and I'm leaving it.
Yep, that makes total sense. Sorry, Harriet just walked into my office, so I had to signal her, don't talk, we're on a podcast. And now I could have just let it go instead of pointing it out.
I'm not going to edit that either. Just in tune. Actually, in the spirit of this episode, except for that weird gap at the beginning where the cat was crawling across me, this will be an unedited episode. We will embrace the flaws in honor of the cup.
Nice. Cool. So did you have another story about that Avengers movie, or we want to save that?
We could do it real quick. Without giving any spoilers, we always like to do shout-outs to the editor, the power of the editor, even though we've been getting worse and worse at naming the editors of the clips that we look at and dissect. So Avengers Endgame has a very important editor contribution. God, it's really hard to do this without spoiling the movie. But I'm not going to spoil the movie. I'm just going to say that there is an iconic line that is said by a character towards the end of the film. And if you've seen the movie, you know what this iconic line is. It's incredibly obvious. It was a line that kind of changed the direction of superhero characters as they were in the first place when the actor improvised it in an earlier film. It's repeated in the final film of the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 3, whatever it is. And it was suggested by the editor. They knew that this character needed to have an iconic line, and they couldn't figure it out. Mm-hmm. And then the Rousseau brothers they tried so many different things, and it wasn't until they were in the editing that the editor just said, "Oh, what if they say blank, and they were like, get the cameras. So it's this huge iconic moment in the movie that was only filmed a couple months ago thanks to the editor's suggestion. So
I see.
The creativity keeps on happening.
Nice. So it wasn't the off-camera remark. They had to do a pickup for that. He couldn't cheat it in.
What do you mean?
Like, it's a line that he came up with, and instead of usually what you would do is you do an ADR line.
Oh, right. They had to get cameras and go film the actor doing it.
Yeah, exactly. That's nice. That's awesome. That shows you sometimes, like, that's got to feel good as an editor. If you have an idea where they're like, yes, let's pick up the camera and let's spend another day on this, pay everybody to get that, to make that film, make that even better. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then it's just crazy also how quick they can pull that stuff off. And you know, just how you never know with movies. Like, it's always being sculpted. And that moment seems like literally everything in 22 films is leading to it. So it's interesting that just a few months ago they had cameras in Santa Monica, you know, very close to where the actor did their first screen test for the role.
Yeah.
Re-recording that now, or re-performing it. And then the editor, of course, was Jeffrey Ford, who's done a bunch of Marvel films. He did Captain America Civil War, Avengers, Captain America Winter Soldier, Iron Man 3, the first Avengers, first Captain America, and really got his huge break when he got Crazy Heart with Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
And you know, did several films before that, 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams, but that was the movie that really opened up the world to them, and then got into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Nice. I hope he enjoys it.
Yeah, who we got to see at an ACE event, or I did at least, and he's played a really cool clip from The Right Stuff that was inspirational to him.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Should we talk about Veep?
What's Veep, Sven?
That's Veep. Veep is an American political satire comedy television series that aired on HBO from April 22nd. You want to guess the year?
Well, I mean, I was alive. Was it 2012?
Yes, 2012 to May 12, 2019, consisting of 65 episodes over 7 seasons. The series was created by Scottish writer Armando Iannucci as an adaptation.
Yes, and if I could just do a little branch off real quick on him, is he, of course, created a couple great British shows, In the Thick of It and In the Loop.
Yes.
And one of them kind of moved over to America, and they were amazing political satires. They very much had this style of Veep that feels so fresh and unique, and the understated, dry wit of it. And he only did the first 2 or 3 seasons of Veep before moving on.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Sorry,
what is he doing next?
So then he did the film The Death of Stalin, which is like insane in and of itself. Is Jeffrey Tambor, Steve Buscemi. It's a great, crazy movie if you get a chance to see it. Same kind of vein politically, but it's just exploring the assassination of Stalin. With American actors playing the Russian characters with American accents. And then you also get to, and he has a new space show that's coming out. But it was kind of that very British thing where after the second or third season, you know, they finish their shows and move on, and usually are the sole writers of the entire shows. And usually that does not bode well for a show when it's such a distinct voice. Right. But in this case, we got Dave Mandel to come in. And Dave Mandel, of course, you know, early in his career worked on Seinfeld, went on to work on Curb Your Enthusiasm, The League, has this incredible track record and pedigree. So one of the best working today in terms of comedy showrunners. So came in and just really kept the spirit of it alive, which we're going to get to see in this one, because we're watching one from this most recent season.
Yeah, and it felt like the show kind of really found its strides in the later season. I mean, it was great from the get-go, but it feels like they really perfected that. That's what we're going to talk about, the dialogue and the characters, and each one like playing this part in this ensemble piece. Where they're just playing off each other. Anyway, I'm going to just keep going. Veep is set in the office of Selina Meyer, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, a fictional vice president and later president of the United States. The series follows Meyer and her team as they attempt to make their mark and leave a legacy without getting tripped up in the day-to-day political games that define the American government. Veep received critical acclaim, won several major awards, was nominated 6 years in a row for Primetime Emmy, and won for the 4th, 5th, and 6th season. Lots of other awards. Julia Louis-Dreyfus has won 6 consecutive Primetime Emmy Awards. There you go.
Wow. You couldn't be more deserving. Yeah, so it's really great. The show and how they've kept it alive. That's interesting that people say it caught its stride in the later ones, because it's...
That's me saying it.
I mean, it's so distinctly...
I could be wrong.
That's you saying it?
Yeah, that's...
Oh. No, I mean, I think it's interesting that it never... To me, it never, ever felt like it lost its wind or slowed down or lost it. And I was very concerned that it would, and was very impressed at how... And I... promise you it's a little different than the earlier seasons, just because of the nature of the auspices being different, but I think the characters are so well established and the actors are so strong, and I believe bring so much to it in improvisation and stuff like that, just in the rehearsal process of kind of finding the show, that you have all that you're just keeping alive as you move forwards. And the actors are so gracious and in never really going, their moment has to be given to them. Yeah. They're not really fighting for it and trying to grandstand. They're just downplaying things and off-playing it so much. It's so interesting because all the roles feel so small, but they're also some of the funniest, best moments on TV.
Yeah, the writing is just incredible. Like, I'm just watching this one particular scene that we're going to watch today. It's like, I don't know how they can write a script like this in the short amount of time that they probably have to pull this off. And it's so
well tight. Yeah, and then also, I mean, I think the improvisation is a part of it, and as we'll talk about, writing with editing is an even bigger part of it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I found a moment where I can definitely pinpoint that the editing is creating this, that this was not written that way.
And and to set this scene up, this is a little bit slightly unorthodox for Veep. It's a scene that's a couple minutes. It's at the very beginning of the 7th season. There's the most recent season. There's no real spoilers. It's just kind of setting the season up. And you never know with these characters. So-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so are working together now. Doesn't mean, a lot of crazy stuff happens on this show. So it's kind of spoiler-proof, I feel like, to go through this scene with us if you're not caught up on Veep. But also the series is over, so get caught up. And the other thing is... It's very rare, I feel like, with this show, and I could be wrong, that scenes last a couple minutes without taking major changes of direction, changes of course, or if it's like a big moment with Selena or someone going through something. I'm amazed at the show how compact they have. Like, oftentimes I'll jump back to rewatch something, so it's like, what just happened? Yep. And it's like 30 seconds. An entire scene will be that it's so much funny stuff is packed in. It feels almost unorthodox in the amount they can cram into these episodes.
The speed is incredible. I mean, it reminds me of Gilmore Girls, but it's even faster, I feel like. It's like the editing, and it's almost reminiscent of hyper narration, what you see on YouTube when you have somebody like Liza Koshy make a video, how fast she just jumps from joke to joke, and it's jump cuts. Here it's no jump cuts, but it has that same feel, that rapid fire. Like, there is no breath in the show. It just keeps on trucking.
Right, and a lot of that's the style of the original creators, in the loop, in the thick of it, have that, but this is almost on, then he came into American politics for this one, and it's almost like it's on meth, because, again, everything needs to be character-driven, and that style totally comes from the characters, which is the funniest part. And then the finale, I don't want to give anything away, but, like, one of the great ironies of this whole show is that in the finale they have a character that moves slowly, and it's just like... There's a lot. The finale is like a whole thing we could just discuss for weeks in terms of the symbolism and meaning hidden in it, but it's pretty amazing.
Nice. So what we usually do on the podcast is we look at a scene, and that's what we're going to do today. There will be a link in the description of the podcast, so you can click and you can watch along. We're going to watch it one time through. We're going to try and describe what's happening, and then we'll go back. This is one of those episodes where it makes sense to let the dialogue flow a little, so you get a sense of the comedy. And, and then we'll take another look at it. If you can't see it, doesn't matter. It's a podcast. There's a reason why we're doing it as an audio book, basically. It's because... it's descriptive, and we're just having fun. All right, Tyler.
And lucky us, I was saying lucky us, this being the beginning of the season, we need to set up nothing because they're doing all that for you. It's the first episode of the season.
Perfect. Tyler, do you want to describe what's happening in round 1?
I'll do my best.
Nice.
We're going to let them talk a lot like we did with Office Space.
Yeah, for sure. Just
Right.
like little pointers where we are. But it's basically 2 main locations. We're inside a jet where Selena Myers is with her staff, most of her staff, and they're flying towards this airport in Iowa. And 2 staff members, Amy and what is it, Dan? They're waiting there. They're preparing this big announcement. There's a crowd there. Things are gated off, stuff like that. So we're cutting back and forth between these 2 locations inside the jet.
And I don't think we've ever put more... and on this show, I don't think we've ever put more into finding the right scene to look at. And Curta Music helped a lot with this. So we found one with all the characters that gives a good sense of the show. I mean, almost all the characters, as much as we could get.
Nice.
All right. And 3, 2, 1...
Incredible. New Selena.
Now.
Oh, it's perfect.
I don't really get it, actually.
Man, we're so far ahead in the polls, and you're not even running yet.
Sheila couldn't agree more.
Hey, Kent's dating again.
No, Sheila is my predictive computer model for election results. Strategic, hypermetric, electoral, interactive, logistical algorithm.
I don't want nuts.
I like her more than I like the deaf girl. Whatever happened to her?
Lots of cutting back and forth between different
I
conversations.
still need my speech. Is this
It's printing, ma'am.
Amy, are you there?
We're all ready for you, ma'am. Hey, sweatpants. You can't just walk out. This isn't a Terrence Malick movie. Sit.
All right, quiet, everyone. Mommy's reading. Okay.
There's a reaction shot we need to talk about.
Told them to expect a surprise announcement without telling them it's a surprise announcement.
Maybe after the
Back at the
announcement, we can
airport.
finally sit down.
We're setting up major arc for the season.
Plenty, Amy.
No, not you, ma'am. Hey, I was talking about the...
What? Jesus, I thought you said the thing at the 7-Eleven dumpster in the sky already.
It's just, we've been so busy with the campaign. And I don't want to...
Waiting for the thing to get in fucking college? What are you doing?
Okay, Leon.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about this part where I say I want to be president for all Americans. I mean, do I? You know, all of them.
How about real Americans?
Oh, yeah, that's good. And then we can figure out what I mean later.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I don't have a copy of the speech.
Okay, I don't know what she's saying, so here.
Ma'am, the voters need to know clearly and definitively why you want to be president.
In your own words.
If you want me to use my own goddamn words, then write me something to say,
Yes,
okay?
ma'am.
Oh, and take out the stuff about immigration, because I feel like it's a little too issue-y.
Okay.
Oh man, there's so many
payoff here.
inside jokes. So she's arriving at the airport. She's stepping out of the plane.
I'm...
Cinema.
There's nobody there.
Where is everyone?
Maybe they're hiding.
Where? Amy, where are you?
At the airport, where are you?
There's only one fucking runway.
I'm at the airport. We just landed.
That's not possible.
Right now, I'm standing
This is
here
kinda-
with my dick in my hand in Cedar
Setting up a lot
Falls,
of themes.
Iowa.
Ma'am, we're in Cedar Rapids.
No! This is supposed to be new Selena!
Now!
And then just Gary having all these ways to just sneak in. Like, if there's ever a dull moment, it's just amazing. Like, you have so many characters that you can just sneak in with a joke, and some of it with ADR, like, whatever. But yeah, I mean, yeah, again, like you're saying, so much strong writing there. And then, yeah, the dick jokes are obviously a big theme because, the idea of gender and politics and the role she's trying to take on.
Cool. Well, nice job,
So-
Tyler.
I mean, I just gave up and started. Well, we have this new audio setup where I was just amazed I could hear the clip so well, so I was just absorbing it.
No, it's all
But
good.
it's fun to listen to.
For sure.
And I almost feel like listening to a clip like that in a podcast is good because in the show there's so much going on visually. I think just listening to the writing is really cool too.
Yeah, I agree. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about, but maybe you want to go ahead. You want to do your thing. You picked this episode today.
I picked the show and then I gave you some options. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm curious what you have to say about it. I think that all my points are kind of general for the show, period, but it sounds like you have some strong thoughts.
Yeah, I have some
about
strong
specifics.
thoughts in general. First of all, the way that the dialogue, the jokes are cut is not traditional. Usually you have your setup, you have your payoff, you have your tag, and then you have your beat for the laugh, right? And they roll the beat for the laugh right into the next setup. So somebody will say something, and you get the joke, and you're like, I got the joke. They're already setting up the next joke. And that actually magnifies the humor in there, I feel like. So by watching any scene on Veep, you can see that they land the joke, and they immediately move on. And you have that urge to laugh, but it's almost like stuck in your throat because there's no time to do it. And it's a fun way of watching the show. It totally works.
I was amazed in this last season how many times I actually laughed out loud, which I don't feel like I usually do watching TV.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of just shock, and it's almost like laughs of shock. Like it's just wild where they go with it.
Yeah. So then the other thing that I noticed is the extensive coverage that they use on the airport between Amy and Dan when they have this conversation, talking about like she wants to have this conversation afterwards about it's abortion, right? That they're talking about. Where
that was set up last season.
Yeah. And this could have been in a normal world just medium shots back and forth, and it would have played fine. But the way they're playing it is like the camera's all over the place. Like there are wide shots, there are shots like they're jumping the line every once in a while.
At 39.
Yeah. I mean throughout. Let me point.
Right.
30.
Sorry.
Yeah, I guess that's where they start, like at 39.
Right, sorry. So they're jumping the line, like 53-ish, yeah.
So they're shooting like the hell out of this scene because it creates this feeling of like this is this event that's happening. And they're having this intimate conversation, but they're like in the middle of the battlefield. And it's very, very useful to cover the scene that way. I think there's intention by it. Like, if you look at the shot at 45 seconds, there is like Dan was for the most part in a medium close-up, but she tends to be more in a wider shot so that we actually see what's happening in the background. Like you see security, there's a Secret Service guy there's flags, there are trucks, there's a red carpet and fenced off stuff, and you have people standing by, and they're all waiting. And they're kind of in their own world discussing other matters to the point where she's like talking about abortion while she's still on the phone with her boss, and Selena like misunderstands. She thinks she's talking to Amy, and I thought that was a really interesting way of covering the scene. Very smart choice by the director and then the editor to cover the scene that way.
Yeah, it's a very specific style, and I think that another thing you're pointing out that's neat with this show is that idea of controlled chaos that's so all over the map, and how we're breaking, like you're saying, it's breaking the line, it's doing all these things, but that's kind of enhancing it, that sense of confusion, where are we, very subtly in the audience, but then how the moments that are chosen for the medium close-ups and stuff, we're really getting hammered for information. Like, even if you look at it from a joke perspective, like going to Dan for the medium close-up at 41, that's where he's dropping.
I told him to expect a surprise announcement without telling him it's a surprise announcement.
That's such important information that's like setting up the whole scene, and it's really like, we just know, boom, let's go to him and be on him for that, and then we can kind of have the chaos for the rest. And it's just cool how they have, it's amazing how you can kind of just break reality in a sense, and just even with between Kent and I forget the guy's name, where they're talking about Kent's girlfriend who was hearing impaired, and
I see.
He's just jumping.
The character's called Ben Gafferty. It's Kevin Dunn.
Right, Ben, Kent and Ben. That's right. Yeah. And how you can just jump between those characters and have this like aside, and yet the chaos of the real thread of the scene of getting her speech written is going on in the background. It's just so much fun, and then just so many reactions that we can go to. And I don't think there's like a particularly great one in this, but sometimes Ben will get the biggest laughs from me just from his reactions to these things. Even in like a wide shot, just his like ooh reactions. And I feel like one happens on the plane a little after this are really or in the meeting following this are really great.
Yeah, I want to point out a specific cut at 105. If you just freeze it there for a second.
This one.
Yeah, they're looking over the poster, and you see, what is the guy's name? Is it Gary? Is the character Gary Walsh?
Right. Yeah. Tony.
In the white shot, he's like smiling and he's praising this poster, how great it is, like the new Selena now.
At 105.
At 5 seconds.
Oh. Right. Gotcha. Okay.
So if you freeze it right there, you see him smiling. He's like all praising this poster, new Selena now. Let's just think about the slogan, how ridiculous that is, right? It just has nothing. And then they're cutting, if you hit play, and then they're cutting to this two-shot of them where he's like, what does that even mean?
I don't really get it, actually.
And if you go back and forth between those two shots, it's completely different movement, different moment. Like he's smiling, he's all happy, and then we go straight to him being all confused. His body posture is completely different. He's like hunched over, like leaning over to her. Like he turned completely his body by almost 180. And if you just play it through, it makes so much sense. It's like what's hitting this joke. There is no like waiting for readjustment for the actors to change. His hands are not folded over in the shot as it is in the white shot. This is the kind of stuff where, as an editor, once you have the experience, you just disregard all that business. You just go with the flow. What flows best in terms of the performance, the energy that you're throwing with the edit, and the jokes.
Yeah, and escalating it even to a more extreme level is if you look at 11 seconds, we have like if we're at 9 seconds, there's a little bit of a medium close-up interaction, and then we go to this wide shot. Gary's running up with some bars and stuff, and we literally have two conversations happening at the same time. We have Ben and Kent having a conversation. We have a thing going on with Selena where we hear her talking, and then we punch in on her. It's just amazing, pulling stuff off like that. I can't even imagine what it looks like on the page.
Yeah.
Right, because it's like two things, and then we know when to jump in on the one to get the no joke, and then back to these two interacting. It just feels like a documentary, but then you have to remember, which gives them a little freedom in the stuff you're talking about too, with documentaries, you can break continuity and get away with it a little more, and I think it enhances this to have that broken continuity and it being all over the map. But I just don't know how you, just weave this stuff together and make it work. It's very incredible.
Yeah, it's probably, there's a lot of exploration happening also in the editing. As for example, and this is the big one I want to point out. So Amy and Dan are having this conversation about when they're gonna find time to abort the baby, and
which is an insane place to go with this show. But
and so they're on the phone, and Selena is listening in, and then she's saying, "Well, we have plenty of time to talk about things," misunderstanding this. And then when we cut back to her, she's actually, this is at 107. She should have still be on the phone, but she's not. She is like in a completely different moment in the scene where she's like looking over her speech. Right? So you would have assumed, okay, she just put the phone away at that point. Then we're going to play the whole thing with I guess it's the Real Americans.
Right.
And then we're cutting back to 120. Amy is still on the phone, and she's saying something that's really reasonable, which is like, "I don't have a copy of your speech, ma'am." And and then Selena is back on the phone, and she's like saying, "I don't know what she's saying," and she's just handing the phone off to Gary, which is another joke. I bet you money that moment of Selena was actually in response to the abortion part. And they just chose to use it here because it just played better, played funnier.
Right.
Because Amy says something really reasonable. "Can you give me a copy of the speech?" The response should not be, "I don't know what she's saying." But they make it work by the way that it's cut. I think that's definitely an example of where I feel like the editing made that rewrite happen.
Yeah, and they had this fun precedent that they've set up of like things being on speakerphone, like someone's always having to listen in. So we're kind of at a point where we just get the idea that Amy can hear what's going on no matter where the phone is, which is cool. But I think that's a great example of reappropriating the footage. And one thing that's weird to me, if you look at 32, where they make the Terrence Malick joke, which I also like too, there's some pretty like complex like referential humor in this that's very, very, it's like I could see a lot of people like not get it. Like I always luckily get them. I think maybe there's stuff I'm totally missing. Maybe I'm just the right age for the show or something like that. But I just, stuff like that's great.
That's such
like
a
who
perfect
besides listening to
line.
this podcast?
Yeah,
right?
this is not a Terrence Malick movie. There's no walking out.
Right, like. Yeah, it's like an intellectual thing. There's just so many layers to it now. But then the weird thing is at 32, so we're playing it, and then at 35, we cut to the guy who gets a hilarious joke made at his expense later about, quit looking at me like a teenage runaway you're strangling to death. Which is just perfect for this character. I don't know anything else about this guy, except he maybe took Mike's... Whoops, never mind. All right, no spoilers. So... But that cut felt like a little...
I just want to point out one thing at 38. So he says something like, okay, everybody be quiet. Mama has to read. Look at the reaction shot of Gary Walsh. And that's the only time in the show where we actually hold for like a fraction of a second and give us some breath. Because he's like pissed off. It's brilliant.
Well, Yeah, and he does, there's so much work like that in this of just stuff in the background where I've always felt like, wow, Tony Hale, man, what like a tiny, but that's just the character. I feel like he just got such a shitty role, but it's actually a great role.
Yeah, but the editors are so in tune with it that even though they caught this or this was planned, they don't dwell on it. It's like if you miss it, you miss it. Doesn't matter. We're moving on. They're not putting a flag on this. They just hold for that little moment where you like got it. So Gary is pissed off that he's like aging Selena, the other guy, or whatever the reason is. He's very protective of Selena, and it's a real nice touch. And I feel like there are really a lot of moments where they land the joke and they don't dwell. They're not like, hey, look, we just made a joke. Let's all enjoy this. We're like, damn, you caught it or you didn't. We don't care. We're moving on.
Yeah, and then the other thing that adds to it is that, as the show went on, like all these archetypical characters like Selena and the assistant and stuff, they've gone so deep into the backgrounds of these characters that now in this season we're kind of back to form with them kind of fulfilling their job roles, but you just have all that, so much more background on what their relationship is that it just, if you're a fan, it just adds that much more to this little business that's going on in the background. But did that cut feel weird to you at 34? I thought there was something wrong with the YouTube clip or something. 34 to 35 to me felt very like jumpy.
Let's take a look. 34. So you're cutting from the airport to the jet or the one prior?
Yeah, from the
airport.
Airport. Yeah.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Good. I was worried.
No, it's fine. It's totally cool.
But it's also like begs the question, like why just for a few? And it's almost like we're cutting in the middle of that lady's movement as she's turning back around. Like, I don't know, maybe they had to do that to show she turned around or something. Yeah. To me, it just seemed like why is this here? Why not just cut straight from Amy? But and because the movement's different. But anyways. Anything else we want to throw on this fire?
I do, sort of as a summary. I love the style of the show. I think it's real fun to watch, and it's like you don't really have to work that hard. You can just go for a ride. My criticism would be and that's why I'm like not really that motivated to keep up with the show now, is because everything
is over.
I understand, but I'm still 6 episodes behind. And I'm not dying to find out what happens in the finale, is what I'm saying. What I noticed with that last season is like it's happening so fast that it's losing a little bit of the soul. Like, I don't really care anymore whether she's going to win or not or what's happening. It's just like I don't even keep track. I can't keep track of what is the pathway for her. They're just in random locations campaigning all the time. and it's hard for me to keep the connection of the actual narrative flow. Do you feel the same, or you feel different?
Well, that's interesting, because what I can say, having the insight of, continuing with the season, is sure, I guess maybe there's like a lot of setup work going on at the beginning here, but one, that's a joke that they start making in this last season. And the other thing about this season that I felt like, in something I communicated with Curta Music, who's a stalwart fan of the show and a stalwart fan of Armando Iannucci, is that this one cuts deep. I mean, the fact that it's the last season, they really, really go there. So maybe it didn't click in the first episode of the season, but if you keep, I mean, you already were like, laughing silly at the other clip we almost did, which is from a little later in the season. But just keep going, because and they are, the political, like, they deal with incredibly sensitive stuff too, but in a way that's more, I don't know. I feel like through this show, if that, like, this stuff they get into with abortion and some other things, throughout this whole show, and they're having plenty of abortion jokes and awful stuff, but I feel like they could have, if the show was about capitalizing on tragedy, that'd be a different thing. But I feel like this last season, it was more about kind of just reflecting the way that politicians use this stuff, and why change isn't happening. And it's really interesting the way they go with it, and then how deep they go with the characters. There's a scene with Selena and House. What's his?
I know who you mean. Yeah.
That is, I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's like, wait, how the fuck did we get here? Like, what's, whoa. So I think there's a lot of that going on. So I think that any deeper, like, to me, it feels like the deepest season. And it's really interesting. And it almost felt like it wasn't, it's like, no, don't end. You're going, so, like, look how much was there, but they're kind of just cashing all the chips. And then, for it feeling totally like a Veep episode, even through the long finale, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's I hadn't really thought about the fact that it's really over, but to me, in terms of finales for shows, it ranks up there with one of the, the most satisfying of them all.
Yeah. Hugh Laurie, by the way.
Oh, yes, Hugh Laurie. So keep going, Sven. We're curious to see if the show's able to turn you around.
I will. I actually have to admit, I sort of got sucked into Larry Sanders, which I hadn't seen.
Oh,
and there's like 6 or 7 seasons to enjoy. So
yeah, we'll have to do that next, because that might easily be my favorite comedy.
Yeah. His acting is just insane. It's like, I don't know how he has that. How he's so, I don't know. His style is incredible.
Him, Jeffrey Tambor, and then I hope you've seen the Gary Shandling documentary, The Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling, because that's amazing. No. Well, finish the show first and then get into it. Apatow made it as kind of a tribute to him.
Okay.
And of course, Apatow worked on Larry Sanders. And,
yeah, I did see the comedian with cars thing that he did just a few months before he passed away, I think. So
yeah. And then you should see Apatow's Comedians in Cars, because they talk about that, about Larry... Gary Shandling's. Anyways, this is Veep. This is Veep week. Let us know what you think. If you enjoyed our comments, if you have, there's so much going on in this stuff. There's no way that we didn't miss amazing aspects of it. And with every character, you could just track each character through all this, and there's like a perfect arc, and everyone is serviced incredibly well. And then when they're not, they're just waiting for their moment. It's very generous, great show. It's too bad it's over, because there is nothing like it. But with that much talent in the room, I guess at some point it had to. They got to go somewhere. So, and it's cool that they all kept coming back too. It's, that they stuck it out and made it work. And when you lost someone else came in. But let us know what we missed, what your thoughts are, any contributions, anything you'd like to see us doing in the future. Please let us know. And where can they make comments, Sven?
thisguyedits.com/comment.
And we want to thank Curta for the music. As a reminder, this is in honor of the Game of Thrones Cup, an edit-free episode, And as Sven always says,
happy editing.
There's no sane zone, so put your head between the speakers. There's no sane zone, so put your head between the speakers.
Oh, you sound like you were going to add something.
No, I was going to say, I don't know if it's edit free because I might want to go back in and then when we talk about the specific things, just do a little sound up there.
Wow.
Like with the joke from the poster to, the poster joke might benefit from having the sound up there.
I'll send it to you.
Cool.